Hello! Today we're going to talk about fLeecamp, which is the 8 cultural universals. So you might want to make sure that you have some paper on hand or a Google Note somewhere so that you can write these down and keep thinking about them. So for cultural universals of you, you'll have a worksheet or a piece of paper that you're going to want to write your name in the center of. And as we go through each universal, think about how it applies to you. And you're going to want to write at least one example, although more if you have them, of how those universals relate to you. Okay, so are you ready? Do you have your paper? Take a moment, find that. All right, here we go. The first F in fLeecamp. So there are 8 cultural universals, and we break them down into an acronym called fLeecamp. And the F of fLeecamp stands for family, structure, and groups. So who makes up your family? And a nuclear family means that in your household you have 2 parents and children. So do you live with your mom and dad? Just your dad, a grandparent? Do you live with your cousins? So take a moment and write down who you live with. And if you have 2 households that you split between, maybe draw a line in half. So for example, if I was still a kid living with my parents, they're divorced, I would probably cut it in half so that I had a side where I stayed with my dad and a side about who lives with me when I am at my mom's house. The L in fLeecamp stands for language. Now, language means what we say and what you're hearing from me right now, but there are also nonverbal symbols and gestures. So for example, if I am waving to you, then that usually is a nonverbal signal that I'm trying to say hi or I'm trying to get your attention. So what I'd like you to do is write down at least one verbal language example that you use and a nonverbal communication symbol that you use a lot. So we have the F stands for family structure, L stands for language. The first E is education, and there are also 2 types of education. So there is school, which is formal, so you're going to school, you're learning. And then there's informal, so you learn how to cross a street or how to tie your shoes. So write down some formal and informal education that you may have experienced. So we have the F is family structure, L language, 1 E is education, and the other one is economics. So how do you earn money or how do you trade goods? So for example, I might say, I can help you with your math homework if you help me with my spelling. That's an example of economics. Do you have an allowance? Do you have a job? Do you mow lawns? Do you do chores around the house? Write down some ways that economics influences your life. All right, what does the F stand for? You got it, family. The L stands for good language. And yes, I want you saying these out loud. 1 E stands for education, and the other E stands for economics. C, conflict, which is fighting, and it does sadly exist in all cultures. So think about who do you fight with and what do your fights usually surround. So if I was saying that I was fighting with my husband, it was probably because I didn't do the dishes or he did them. So those are some examples of conflict. It doesn't have to be pow-pow kind of fighting. All right, what does the F stand for again? This helps you to remember it. Yes, family structure. L, language. E, education. E, economics. C, conflict. A, art, recreation, and play. These are all the things that you do because you want to do them. You do them for fun. So you should be able to write down at least 2 things that you do for fun. All right, the F stands for family structure. L, language. E, education. E, economics. C, conflict. A, arts, recreation, and play. M, Material culture. So these are our things, our stuff. So think about some of the things that belong to you in your room, and write some of those down. So you really probably can't say a house unless you've already been working and buying your own house. That might be belonging to your parents or your grandparents or something. So think about your belongings, your pillow, your stuffed animals, your maybe your iPad or a Chromebook. I don't know. All right, now the final one. The F stands for family structure. L, language. E, education. E, economics. C, conflict. A, arts, play, and recreation. M, material goods. P, power structure. So this means people who make and enforce rules. So it could actually be you sometimes if you babysit. So you would be in charge of helping make sure someone eats breakfast or brushes their teeth or goes to bed at the correct time. Who else is a power structure in your life? So think about school or home, or who does this in a town or a city. All right, so let's go through these again. F stands for family structure. L, language. E, education. E, economics. C, conflict. A, arts, play, and recreation. M, material goods. P, power structure. All of these 8 things are in all cultures across time. They are across all across the globe. These are things that as you're studying different cultures, you want to think about because these truly do exist. So we're going to continue to study these as we get ready to go. Thank you.